I am here with my handsome co-host, and we are the Kidney Brothers,
Thank you, Mark.
Robert and Mark,
Thank you.
and we both have a kidney story to tell, and it's just amazing that the help that we've been given along the way by any number of people, and now that we're on the other side, it's our mission to help as many people as we can. But if we can help one person get a new kidney or get their fighting spirit reignited to continue their dialysis journey, then that is an accomplishment for us. That's all we want. Is we want to help one person. So if you know somebody that is interested in donating a kidney to somebody and you see their story on our show, which is on YouTube and TikTok and Facebook, and we're all over the different medias, and we have a Discord that we'll give you, and you can go check into a lot of those links. We're setting up a website. It's going to be on markhope.com/the Kidney Brothers. And we're going to have all of our contact information. We're going to have resources there for anybody that wants to contact us or any of our affiliates. And, we're just two guys that are making it in life. And we want to share our story. And anyone that needs help can be invited to this show on Thursdays at around 12 o'clock Central Standard Time. So reach out to Robert and say, I'd like to be on the show. And I've got another guy in South Dakota that I think we'll bring on the show. He's a really good guy, but he's a little shy, So that's kind of our mission is if they don't have the technical ability, which we don't, we're learning as we go along. Right, Robert?
That's right. That's correct.
I mean, we're 45 minutes late because Robert screwed everything up today. I'm kidding. Robert, why don't you give me a break from talking? That's give people a little feel for what we do. How are you doing today?
Mark, I'm doing great. I can't complain. It's not going to do no good anyway. But just picking back off what you said, this is our mission to help many people as we can. And like you were saying, if we just help one person, we'll be doing great. And I think that what we are doing, Mark, is help a lot of people to understand things more. They find out things that they didn't know. They find out things that they are not information they're not getting from the doctors. So when they come in our community, the kidney warriors, I hear a lot of them say, "Well, I didn't know this and I didn't know that. My doctor didn't tell me." So sometimes I tell them that you have to be an advocate for yourself.
Oh, amen. Amen.
Right. And when you go to the doctor, you make sure that you ask questions. You can get on my chart. Make sure you know what your lab work is and make sure you understand your lab works. And it's up to you, it's up to us to ask the doctors questions because they might not always tell you what the deal is. So I think it's a great thing that we are doing because we're bringing awareness to different people, and a lot of people they are doing it alone. What I mean by that is they're on dialysis and they don't have a support system. Some of them try to get on the transplant list and then they can't get on the transplant list because they don't have a support system. They had to transplant, and I know you had to have somebody drive you back and forth, and they will not let you do that until you have a support system. So we are trying to we have built a community where you don't have to feel alone. We might not know you in person, but you can come on our live, you can come on podcast, you can come on TikTok, and you can just join together. And a lot of people I find out, Mark, that, you know, they feel a whole lot better once they hear everybody's story of what they're going through. And they be like, well, you know, I got a good understanding. I still feel something, but I'm going to sleep better tonight knowing that I came on here and talked to some more people and realized I'm not going through this alone.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's that way in all things. If we help each other and we bond together, and you hear one person say, oh, that's similar to me. You know, I'm having that same problem and I thought it was just me.
Right.
You know? And if you can hear, you know, and the doctors are wonderful. And
Yes.
my suggestion is, I'm the guy, I will tell you I love you on the first time I meet you because I love people.
Right.
And my nurses, I tell them, I thank you so much for helping me. I love you. Thank you for being there for me. And it is amazing how well you're treated if you're just a little bit grateful and you're a little bit humble, and, you know, be there for your doctors and nurses and tell them, I'm trying so hard to make sure that you have a success in me as a patient.
Right. Right.
And you got somebody coming in your room?
Yeah. Can I step off and shut the door?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm good. Go ahead.
Yeah, and we're not that formal, Robert. You just say, peace out. I'm going to go shut my door. You don't have to get any permission from me. And our listeners, I think the thing that our listeners like is we're informal. We got all the knowledge, but it's not yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am. We give the real advice to people because we're not doctors, you and I.
That's true.
I mean, we are foot soldiers that have been through it. And, you know, you need to get some real advice. Like I was saying, take care of your doctors and stuff. Be nice to them, you know?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you have to be nice to them. And like I said, they're going to do what they have to do, try to help you, but you also have to help yourself. And I see people that, you know, like after the kidney transplant, you know, my coordinator, we were 3 hours away, and she was asking me if y'all gonna stay near the center for about 4 to 6 weeks. And of course, my wife and I, we had a little baby at the time, so every week we just drove down there. But my sister stayed over there, and they got us free hotel. And some people don't have that. You know, some people, they're telling some people that they have to pay so much a day or so much a week. And, you know, a lot of time that people have financial issues, like getting their medication. Some people say they have to have this amount of money just to get on the transplant list. And just things like that. There's a lot of people that's going through, like I said, financial situation. They don't have support system. You know, they can't afford their medications, and just different things when they come on TikTok. So I just like to spread the word because, like I said, when it came to my family, and my mother been on dialysis, and my sister doing PD, and I got a kidney. You know, when it come to medication and financial, we were blessed. You know, God bless us, but everybody is not fortunate. You know, so that's why I go so hard, Mark, and like with my kidney walk and give money back to the dialysis unit, because a lot of people in need, and God bless me. So that's what I'm trying to do. He put me on a mission, and when I realized it's not about me, it's about someone else, you know. And so that's what I like to do. I like to help any way that I can.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I just put a link up, and that's the kidney class that I committed to do after I got my kidney. And the kidney class, if you click on that, is about helping people do social media, learn social media, so that they can reach out and find a kidney donor. Because a lot of these people don't know how to use social media. And if they got their story out in a good, clean, consistent way, there's going to be an open heart out there in the world that says, hey, I want to be tested to donate you my kidney. And it happens every day. So if they go on that link, they're going to be able to go through the classes step by step by step by step. And I will be doing lives about, procuring a kidney donor. But I will also start making classes with you about preparing for dialysis. And you and I can teach them a class about the real things that they need to know about, because I was a peritoneal dialysis patient, which for me was much better than hemodialysis. I had to do it at home, but I got to do it while I slept at night. And so I had my days free, and it wasn't as hard on my body as the hemo is. But we were in the training at DaVita, and my wife was my caregiver, but they scared the shit out of her.
Right.
When they were going through the training, wash your hands, don't, put your mask on, and don't do the step. And what did you do? And she was sure that if she ever helped me with my peritoneal dialysis setup, that she was going to kill me the first time.
Right.
And she never did it for me once. And luckily I got by doing it for myself. But, some of that stuff is just so intimidating that, it's crazy.
Well, Mark, I got to correct something that, like I said, on the way that I know about dialysis and peritoneal is through my family, my mother,
Right.
and my sister. I got a kidney before going on dialysis.
No, you were one of the lucky ones that got in soon, and you skipped the whole dialysis journey.
Right.
And that's good for you. But I mean, you watched your mom,
yes,
and your sister,
right,
and you didn't want any part of that.
And
so you got actively trying to go get that kidney, like everyone should.
Yeah, my doctor. The thing about it, Mark, the doctor and the nurses, I think that they felt like something was going to happen to me because I was running from dialysis. And like I said, the trauma of what I see my mother go through and what my sister was going through, and I was running from it. But my doctor told me, my kidney doctor told me, he said, Robert, he said, this is my first time ever witnessing someone getting a kidney for dialysis. He said, now, what he tell the patient now? He said, I don't recommend, if you need to get on dialysis, get on dialysis. I don't recommend that you not get on dialysis and try to wait on a kidney transplant. But he said, but I'm telling you, I seen it firsthand. It's possible.
Oh, I was almost that guy.
Right.
I was sitting around 18 GFR, and my wife was my donor, and we were at Porter Transplant, and we were ready to go, and something happened, and it didn't work out. And yes. But if that would have went through, then I would have been able to skip dialysis.
Yeah,
I just got to think it's a God thing,
Right.
He knew that there was, something else down the road, and my wife, I would have taken a kidney from her only if it didn't hurt her.
Right.
And God knew maybe that she needed to not have that trauma because she's dealing with her own things health-wise, and here we go.
Yes, he said But doctor say tell a patient that it can happen. You can get a kidney before dialysis, but I don't recommend you wait. But he said that was his first time ever seeing that, you know. And I think they went ahead and put me on the list because they were just taking a chance on me because I was being hard headed and stubborn, you know. They said, well, you need to go and get the fistula put in your arm. And, you know, I skipped that. I wouldn't even go. So I think they was really trying to help me out. They knew something was going to happen to me.
Which, as the Kidney Brothers Incorporated, we do not recommend that you do what Robert did and be hard-headed, you know,
Right.
be compliant. And I waited. I don't know if I was hard-headed, but I was waiting, and I was on the list, and we were hoping that my GFR would hold long enough that I could just go get a transplant because I was bringing my own donor. And then it just dropped to 5 right away, and I had a kind of an emergency situation where they took me to the hospital, put my port in, got the thing going. But if I would have waited, my result may not have been as easy because your body gets ravaged. And if you can go on that dialysis, you know, and in my case, peritoneal dialysis,
right.
I was a lot stronger and healthier when I did go through the transplant. And it was good for me. I was stronger, better able to handle things, you know. But that's another thing that, you know, is part of the kidney class. I talk about being ready and being physically ready to get a transplant, you know, because you need to have your diabetes under control, have your blood pressure under control. You need to satisfy the weight requirement, you know, and if you're too heavy, they will not give you a transplant. And so you gotta work diligently on cutting your weight, you know, and you can ask those questions too of this group and of the internet and everything else. And we'll find out how, as a matter of fact, I'll just ask ChatGPT right now and we'll see. Robert, do you know?
Oh, no, I don't.
How heavy you can be to get a transplant?
I don't know. I can say, Mark, you know, I let people know all the time that, you know, when you go to get evaluated and they're going to check you for everything. And if they find something that's going on, you're not getting a kidney.
But that's why we got to find out in advance what we need to do to get ready for that.
Yeah, I found one guy. He slipped through the crack. He passed away since, but he had prostate cancer, and they didn't catch it. They didn't find out until after his transplant, and they told him that he was lucky he slipped through the cracks because if they knew that he had prostate, he wouldn't have got the kidney. And another one of my partners, his doctor didn't tell him that he was on dialysis, but the doctor didn't tell him that he had cancer. And he went and got to get evaluated. He was excited because he wanted to get on dialysis. I mean, he wanted a kidney transplant, but when he went and had an evaluation, the kidney transplant team asked him a question. Did you know you had cancer? Did your doctor tell you had cancer? He said, no, they didn't tell me.
Oh, my God.
And he drove 3 hours away, you know, just being excited to try to get on the transplant list. And they informed him that he had cancer.
Well, you know, Robert, one of my heroes in life, he died from cancer, but he fought like a champion. He did every single thing that a human being could do to fight. And in the end, he said, you know, I'm okay if I go, and I'm okay if I stay. And people without faith, they can't say that.
That's
And
true.
I've adopted that for myself because I love my family, and I love what you and I are doing as a service to God on this planet, you know, to help our brothers and sisters that need help. And when God feels, you know, fit to retire me from my service down here, I know that there's a wonderful place waiting for me out there.
Right.
And you know, I'll be happy to go up there and discuss what we did here. And it's my belief we go back down after we get a rest up there and solve some other problems, you know, as soldiers, you know. And that's how I look at everything. So I lived so that I could do this podcast with you, and I'm helping you and you're helping me, and together we're going to help some other people, and it's a wonderful thing, you know. And you make wonderful friends, you know,
Mark,
while you're reaching down to help somebody up, you know. I mean, can you imagine, Robert, if because you and I are fooling around doing this show,
right,
some little 4-year-old baby that needs a transplant, kidney transplant, sweet little girl with curly hair and a beautiful smile, and you know, she gets a kidney transplant because of the work you and I are doing. Wow.
and
that'll be, that's crazy.
Yes, yes. And I was just going to say that, Mark, you know, I have met some of the nicest people, you know, on TikTok that, you know, you if people not on, if they're not in our community, they just wouldn't understand, you know, how people make you feel, how they say I love you, and don't know you. You know, we just talking on here, and it's just an amazing community that we're in. You know, and like I said, back with what you were saying about if we can, about the little girl, if we can get a little girl a kidney, and I didn't know Mark until I started doing TikTok live. I don't know if I was thinking that this disease stopped at a certain age or what. I don't know what I was thinking, but when I go on different people's pages and I see, you know, this guy told me he was on dialysis with a 10 and 11-year-old. And then when I go on some more pages and I see them little babies, you know, 3 and 4 and you know, and even down, and that do something to me because I can't stand to see those babies like that. But I guess I just didn't, I wasn't educated about that enough, because I know some young people can have a kidney transplant, but I didn't know it can go all the way down to a baby. So, you know, like you said, if someone special, a baby, can get a transplant off something that we are doing, that will be amazing.
And I see these little 3 and 4-year-old babies that, you know, and I don't see them all. I just see 1 or 2 of them. I'm sure
Right.
there's thousands of them, and their mom and dad are just dealing with things that you just don't even want to think about. And I personally know a couple that I met through a friend, and their little daughter has this and kidney failure, and she's on dialysis, and of course the mother and the father are a match. Okay, so since the little girl's 4 years old, they got to figure out when to time their kidneys for their little girl, you know, because kidney lasts so long. But, you know, they need to try and get a kidney for her at this stage, and maybe that lasts 10, 12 years, okay,
Right.
then the mama can give her a kidney when she's 12, and that lasts for 10 or 15 years, say. And then if need be, the dad is standing by to get her into adulthood with a new kidney. And that's a strategy the parents can use to help their little ones that are dealing with that.
Yes, yeah, that's a great strategy. And like I said, Mark, anytime that, I just say with me, after my transplant, I was just going back to my normal life, which is working and just going back. But, God, he put me on this mission, and I was running one time, I was, because I didn't understand it. Our mind can't go that far to understand what God is doing, and he had a plan for me. I didn't see it, I was like, he told Moses, go and talk to the people. Moses told me he couldn't speak well. That's the same thing I was saying. Oh God, I can't speak. I can't speak like that. But there was no excuse for him. He ended up giving me a voice, to do this, and he gets all the glory and all the praises.
Well, you know what I say, Robert, is we're just beginners in all this podcasting stuff. And if we can inspire people out there that are more talented than us, probably, and we say, if those two knuckleheads can do a podcast, I'm going to try and do my own podcast. And I'm going to ask people, and we'll tell them what we're doing. We'll show them what we're doing. But, God does not call the qualified. God qualifies the called. And he's got us, and he's helping us muddle through it. And, our show isn't perfect. It probably never will be perfect. But if our voice reaches one set of ears, that's a win. That's good for us. And I hope later in this show we'll have an after transplant show, and they can come on and tell their story and how they utilized our tools and inspiration and went out, got them a kidney, and now they're in the Olympics doing whatever they're doing.
I would love for that, because I love people to share their story.
Yeah. Well, and for everyone that knows, before we hit the end of the show, Robert has a fantastic TikTok channel, and we'll try to get some of these links in our website and in the different places in the show notes. I'm still not 100%. I'm 6 weeks out of my transplant, but when I get my act together a little bit more, and we get some volunteers that do some moderation work, then we'll get all the links together. But look for Robert's TikTok, and tell them what the name of it is, Robert.
Well, it's 662 Robert, and when you get on there, you might see you will see my kidney foundation name, RJI Kidney Awareness Foundation.
There you go. And why don't you email me the links and names of all that stuff, and I'll get it in a place where people can find it. And you need to check in if you have anybody that's afflicted by this, if you have any interest in hearing what people go through, any of that stuff at all. Robert has a wonderful following and a wonderful show. And, he gets people on there and says, tell me your story. What are you doing? How did this happen? And it is very, very empowering to people that feel like they were alone before. Right, Robert?
That's right. Because like I said, Mark, it's not about me. I let people tell their story. They can give some more people hope of what they're going through, and like I said, let them know that they're not alone. They're not going through it by themselves.
Well, and you mentioned a couple of times, and I totally agree with you about this. It's a community. And
Yes, yes,
when you build a community like this, it very quickly becomes not about me and not about Robert.
right.
It becomes the community. And then, two guys get together and they're like, I sell cars. Oh, I sell cars too. Oh, well, I have kidney disease. Oh, I have kidney disease.
Yes,
Then they become friends, and peer to peer help is needed. The doctors are helping, but they're not available at 2 a.m, and your
yes,
friend is, my dialysis machine quit, it's not doing whatever it needs to do and blah, blah, blah. I'm scared that I'm going to not do the treatment tonight and what's going to happen. Well, they tell you to call Baxter. And it's like, hey, they're not answering the phone, and they, you don't know what to do. And then they say, restart your bags, whatever.
right.
And I got my numbers to the point with my nephrologist and my kidney team at DaVita that he gave me a day off. He said, go ahead and take a day off. You're doing good. So you could do 6 days a week instead of 7.
Right.
And I never took it. I never took that day off purposely, because one day my bags fail, beep, 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 like 12 times, and you can't figure out what the problem is.
Right.
I just call it a day. I say, okay, here's my day off. I unhook and go to sleep, and call it a day. Then the next day it works fine, whatever. I don't stress myself out, because I worked really hard on doing everything I'm supposed to do. So the dialysis didn't need to be every day. So that's advice from me. If you're on peritoneal dialysis, work with your nephro and your team. Make sure you don't eat the stuff that creates the phosphorus load. Make sure that you're, drinking all the water and doing the things that you need to do, whatever they tell you to do, and get those smiley faces on your paperwork and the yellow markers on the highlighters on your numbers. And they say, good job, do what the nutritionist says do, and ask them when you can have a day off, and don't take it. Save it in reserve. And if something happens with your machine or whatever, you got that extra in the bank. Right. And those are the kind of things, Robert, that I'm saying it on the show, and hopefully it hears many voices. But, if we're buddies going through it together, and I call you up and say, hey, Robert, this is what happened with my machine. Have you ever had this happen? And whatever I just said, I could just tell my buddy at 11 o'clock at night, hey, don't worry about it so much. It's one night, call your team, or, hey, this is really bad. You need to call somebody, but having that, relationship.
Yes.
And the communities. I mean,
yes.
You could put on and say, there's Facebook kidney communities, and you got to take it for face value. Listen to your doctor.
Listen to you.
But at the same time, if you can ask a question and there's a bunch of people that have experience, they'll tell you.
Yeah, you had to, like I said earlier, you had to advocate for yourself. You have to ask questions. You have to check your lab works. Get on my chart, or ask them for your lab works before you leave, and learn them numbers. When it comes to high and low and normal and high, you got to learn some things. Like I said, we can go to a doctor, but we are responsible for ourselves too. So, even though
knowledge is power.
Knowledge is powerful. It's powerful.
And nowadays with the technology, you log into my chart and you got the blood results right when the doctor does.
Yeah.
And so, I go into my doctor appointment and I say, hey, my iron is low, because it's a little bar on there. It's green and yellow and whatever. And, if it's low, I ask the doctor, hey, can we give us a shot of iron? Do we need to, like they did at the dialysis place? And he said, no, it's normal right now. We're gonna watch it, but it's okay. But at least I know that I'm helping the doctor by how I'm feeling and what I'm doing and what I'm looking at. And then I ask him, hey, is there anything I should keep an eye out on this blood work? And, participate, advocate for yourself, like you said.
Yes.
And, it's the technology is amazing.
Yes. Things that we didn't have years ago, just like when I first heard about the kidney transplant, we waiting on a deceased donor, but we have so many now that are waiting on a kidney. You have to have living kidney donors.
$93,000, 93 people on the 1,000 people on the waiting list at any given time.
Yes.
And that's why, Robert, our mission is to really try and help the person that is on a 9-year waiting list in California, and they're in despair. And
I have some come on said they have 7 or 6, and I think it O positive. This lady was telling me like an 8 year span or something like that. And
what's crushing is you're on an 8-year waiting list, and then all of a sudden you have some kind of a bleed in your colon, some kind of a cyst or whatever, and you need to go get a colonoscopy, and they need to figure out what's causing that. Well, they put you on pause on the list. You wait 8 years, and then you're on pause because something that happened.
Yes. I never thought about it. Yeah.
Or you gain some weight and they pause you on the list. And so every day, and I'm saying this from personal experience, before I was running up on my kidney transplant, I told everybody that would listen, my life's goal is to be the very best kidney transplant candidate that I can be. And it was a little unnerving. It's like, what if something happens beyond my control and I've been doing all this stuff and I get paused on the list?
Yes.
And I was lucky because, I was on and off the list a couple of times over a 2-year span, and then I got it done. But I hope that there's some calmness that eases the anxiety for some of these people because they get with our crew and our kidney warriors. Somebody can hear the story about your mom, Robert. Oh, I'm on dialysis. I'm probably only going to live another 5 years. Bullshit.
Yes, you tell the truth.
Mrs. Ivy lived for 35 years.
The older living patient in Mississippi at the time.
But that's showing people that's not a death sentence.
But Mark, the thing about when they come on my show, and I invite them in, I tell them no pressure. Whenever they want to come in and speak, they welcome. And I have a lot of people that came on there. They love to talk now.
Yeah.
I asked, do y'all have 1,000 followers? Can you go live? And they were like, I don't know what to say. Then next thing you know, they're going live. And And what I tell them, Mark, because I done experienced it myself, when some people get on live and they see 1 or 2 people on the live, they get discouraged and say, I don't have anybody on here but 2 people. And I said, well, whether you have 2 people or you have 1,000 people, you still have to talk to those 2 people. But I said that what you don't understand is you can only see 2 people. You might have 70 people in the background watching.
And they don't join the live. They're just watching up in the cheap seats.
Right.
But they watching, because they don't click in because they don't want the host to say, oh, Mark, you're here. What do you got to say? So
Yes.
I do that a lot of times. I kind of just
Yes.
lurk and
Right.
look into it and say, oh, there's Robert, but I can't join the live because he'll get on me about how
Right.
am I doing my work or whatever.
Right.
So
Right.
there are a lot of people watching that you don't know about.
Right. And I don't beat them across the head because I was the same way. In the beginning, I was the same way. I couldn't wait to get to 1,000. Then when I got to 1,000, went live, really didn't know what to talk about. You have 40 in there, now it's down to 1. And I just got off for a while. But this young lady, when she was saying that she was on live, she encouraged me to go live. So that's how I started
You
going
know
live.
who I saw on live last night?
Who that?
Miss Yolanda.
Yes.
Miss Positive Attitude.
Yeah, she the one that I have to talk to all the time about, she be nervous. And I told her, one thing about Yolanda, ever since I've been on here, Mark, she been sticking by me. She helped me run the live. And I told her, just stick with me. And when I go up, she going up with me.
Well, I hate to tell you this. She's going to be bigger than you or me.
Yes.
And, we'll be helping her with her podcast.
Right.
That's what I hope for. All the people that I talk to, that's what I hope for.
Right.
But Mr. Robert, I told you that you and I could talk for 3 and 4 hours, and we try to keep it to a half an hour so we don't blow people's longevity and patience with us. And we're already at 41 minutes, and I got to tell you, I love you, and I'm so proud of what you're doing. And there's no quit in you, and you're helping people, and you're going to do it no matter what. And I'm super proud of you.
I appreciate you, Mark. I love you too. I appreciate you for helping.
And for everybody that's watching this video, if nobody told you today that they love you, we love you. And there's the damn thing you can do about that.
Right.
We're going to pray for you. We love you. We're going to be here for you. And even if you're like a kind of an angry, stubborn patient like Robert was, we'll help calm you down and get you through the process.
Right.
So, Robert, you got one more thing you want to say before I shut this off?
Well, I appreciate you, Mark. I appreciate y'all for watching. If you want to know more information, just keep watching us. I'm gonna send Mark my link to my TikTok and things like that. And I hope y'all have a blessed day.